What's good, good people? It's Jay Glass Movement and Mr. President Richard Lewis Brown of Local 1000 back for another episode of the Family Bloodline Podcast. Yeah. Welcome back. We are going to continue our discussion this evening in a few minutes about the budget bill that we started last week, and we'll pull up a couple of different things. And of course, as always, I will post a link in the chat for anyone who wants to come up and discuss. I thought I was hearing my kids for a second. They could be. I think they got me on upstairs in the living room, so that's probably what I'm hearing. So anyway, what's going on, man? How's your week been so far?
Well, I'm still, I don't talk about my personal life, but tonight I will. It's going to take me a minute to get over my last blood uncle, my mother's last remaining brother has passed away. Retired Navy, Charlie Lewis Brown.
Lewis Brown, huh? Same middle name?
Charlie Lewis, yes. Charlie Lewis Brown.
Okay.
And so I'm only left with two remaining blood aunties and a few other aunties who married some of my uncles. And then one auntie who was married to my one uncle, my youngest uncle, who was passed away many years ago. Mm. So this particular uncle, retired Navy, E8, 20 years, Vietnam, another 20 years.
Man.
Federal government, he worked his tail off. He's a success story, Charlie Lewis Brown. Now he's buried in the National Miramar Cemetery in San Diego, along with his wife who preceded him in death. He had one child, and one stepson passed away. The other stepson still alive, Terry. So it's going to take me a while. I have to still keep going to court. I tried to get my court dates extended. Yeah. That was denied.
That's
so I don't want anyone to think, oh, he's just doing these podcasts. There's nothing wrong. No, there's
real life happening.
Yeah, because the reason why I was trying to extend my court dates for anybody who's watching me and watching my court cases, I'm not lying in my legal documents when I asked for some time for bereavement up through October.
Right.
I'm not lying. So anybody who's watching me, who's watching my court cases, I don't want you to say that Richard's lying, he's not being truthful. No, that's not the case at all.
At all.
And my uncle this was the uncle that swore me in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So maybe I should have put that in my legal paperwork, but I didn't want to go into all my personal life. But once you file legal documents, it becomes a matter of public record. So I want to make sure I'm on record for being consistent in what I say day in and day out. All right. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Okay. I got you. I've been having a great week, quite honestly. I was in these TikTok streets talking to people and some older fools.
Okay.
Oh man, people really like get validation from being on TikTok and interacting. Like likes are a real thing for them in real life, and you see it's hilarious to me because people really are passionate. I guess I'll say about who they are online. Not more than likely they're a different person in real life, and
right.
But behind a computer, everybody's Mike Tyson. But
yes.
Yes. So those people like real life getting punched in the face, they change their tone real quick. But I think it's hilarious. That's something that I'm gonna start studying and looking at while I'm online, and that's people who are in online groups and cliques. And the reason why is the whole safety and strength in numbers thing. Actually, I think it multiplies online when people are wrong, but they need validation to feel like they're right. And because they have people egging them on or coming out of the woodwork, or they can tag a bunch of people, they feel more emboldened to be performative, as it were, with their statements. So I'm gonna study that a little bit more. I was in the TikTok streets, like I was saying again, having fun with some people, old fool, younger fools, people who think that it can't get to the point in this administration
Mhm.
where ICE could begin to target Black, brown skinned people that are citizens.
Now, it's funny that you brought this up
Uh-huh.
because I know that we're supposed to talk about the rest of the bill, but the bill and this they kind of go hand in foot. I was speaking to people. We don't know when we get our information off the internet. We don't know what site's giving us 100% accurate information. And sometimes each site gives you a percentage, and you have to go to all these different websites and bring it together. And even if you go to the government website, you say, well, President Trump's in charge of the government, so that website's going to be influenced by his leadership.
Okay.
That's true too.
Sure.
So we're at a point where you have to do so much reading from the past, and then you have to go to so many sources. So I'm retired, so I do court briefs, and then I can watch all this stuff. But if you're working full time, if you're a Democrat or a Republican, then you're only going to go with what your party is telling you.
Yeah.
The thing about it, not to be long-winded, the Democrats are not completely wrong, and the Republicans are not completely right, depending on the issue.
Yes.
And so I spoke to some Latinos or Americans of Mexican descent or Mexican Americans or Chicanos or Hispanics. Whoever I talk to, they have to tell me who they are, part of the brown community, about their mother and father and their grandmother and grandfather. Man, I thought Black was rough. He said, I know I'm a descendant of the enslaved African, but when I talk to brown people, you have to find out how they identify themselves.
Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah, and so they're not completely wrong, but they're not completely right. And I try to talk to them and say, hey, look, this same gringo that you say is doing all this crazy stuff and acting racist, when you come across the border illegally, he's exploiting you for low wages, and then you pay taxes, you can't collect at 65. So the person that exploited you years ago is doing it to you all over again. Now, this is straight fact. This is no BS. This ain't political. If you come across the border and you have somebody's social and it's not yours, you're not going to be able to collect on all those taxes you paid in when you turn 65 or 67 or 70, however you want to play it.
Yeah.
You're being exploited by that same gringo.
Yep.
And then he played you. Remember when he got in office in January? He said, I want all the people here illegally. I want you to self-deport. And so, people who are here illegally, like, we ain't going anywhere. That's what he wanted you to say. Now he says, I'm gonna come get you. Well, you supposed to start with the criminals first. I ain't no criminal.
Well,
you forgot how to. Go ahead.
So let me tell you how I've kind of digested the rationale behind that, right? If you're on here and you're undocumented already, you're undocumented. Although it's a misdemeanor, it's equivalent to having a misdemeanor by crossing the border
the first time.
The first time, yeah, not getting deported and then coming back, because now we're in felony territory, right?
Perfect. That's
absolutely
perfect.
Yep. Oscar, what's going on, brother? What's going on? Yes. So I'm glad you stated that way we can get that out the way and make sure that that's a thing that we know and we understand, right?
Misdemeanor the first time.
Misdemeanor the first time. Come back the second time. Scam likely. I don't know why that just happened. Come back the second time, and now we're looking into felonious territory. But just simply talking about the first time, because it's still a crime. A misdemeanor is still a type of a crime, right? So the way that it sounds like they're trying to rationalize it out to me is, well, now you're a criminal because it might be a misdemeanor, but it's still a crime. And so now we're calling you illegal, and we're going to we're going to get you out of here because now we can lump you into the vague statement of being a criminal.
Great catch.
Catch.
That's a great catch. Okay.
And so when the more I listen to the administration talk, the more I see how they're riding that line. And the bad part about it is they're not wrong about that.
Now, when they come if they come back a second time, which makes them a felon,
Yes.
do they still get their due process?
Because it's a different time, right? You can't double jeopardy, right? So it has to be a different. You have to be punished under a different type of. It can be a similar statement, but they're not the same time, if that makes sense. So if
for the misdemeanor the first time, they would get due process.
They'll get due process. They should get due process. I'm not saying that they will get due process. They should get due process. Give me a second. Let me post a link in the chat. In the event anybody else wants to hop up and start talking about this also before we hop into the bill. But they should get due process. We understand how that thing is going also, right? And they'd still get due process the second time also. And so, yes, Oscar, you are, that's what we were describing. Criminal versus civil. Those are the two differences that we were describing. One being somewhat like a misdemeanor that, hey, Wanda, the second one being an actual felony, a felonious act. All right. So those are the differences. Those are the differences.
And because you say this is in an immigration court, when we say criminal or civil, those two terms are so clear cut in all the other situations in America. But in the immigration court, I'm not so sure that criminal and civil has the same definition as in a regular court.
That's a great question.
Which the media will not talk about, not from the right or from the left. And so if a news station wants to be really unbiased, this is my problem. I know CNN is going to be biased. I know Fox. I know MSNBC is going to be biased. But even when I go to News Nation, I can catch Chris Cuomo and his bias too.
So and even when we talk about things being biased, are they being biased from a standpoint of trying to be human, insert some type of humanity into the situation, or just because they're actually being biased on the side of their political views, their political?
No, I think it's worse than that. I think it's the producers of the network.
Gotcha.
So not to get off subject, but when we talk about the situation with Israel and Palestine, it can get hairy because there's truth on both sides. And so when you have truth on both sides, but who has the most truth? That's why Candace Owens is doing so well, because she's coming from it.
I'll put it up. Go ahead. I'll read it in a second. I'll read it when you
guarantee. Yeah, she's coming from it on the Palestinian side, when you would just naturally assume that she would come from the Israel side, but she's not. So when certain European Americans support Israel, support Palestine, is it because they're truly being non-biased, or are they showing some prejudice towards Jewish Americans? It's tricky.
Yeah. And
so back to this situation with illegal immigration.
Yeah.
If you come to America illegally, you're illegal, period. But if you try to qualify it, first time it's immigration court. Thank you, Oscar. First time immigration court. So that's the misdemeanor. Okay. Yeah. Second time, I believe, is federal court. Great. Yep, perfect. that makes sense, Oscar.
Thanks for helping us clarify that.
For instance, it's a felony. That's what I would say too, Oscar. Yeah. So when you try to qualify and say, well, they come over, they're good people. Well, that's absolutely true. If you have 100 people, and I'm just going to say Mexico is the closest place that they're coming from.
Sure.
If you have 100 people from Mexico come over illegally, 99, in my opinion, are solid people. They'll never do anything wrong. But the one may be a criminal. But we don't want that one who's a criminal to be, to stereotype the other 99. But they're all illegal. What's wrong?
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm tracking the parallels that you're running. I
say that because when people say, well, Richard, I thought you were for enforcing the border. I am, but I'm coming from it from another direction. But the reason why I say that, if you have 100 illegal people and they're from Mexico, not saying they're only from Mexico, that only one of that 99 is going to probably be a criminal. If you look at the creation of Israel, you have all these, quote, Ashkenazi Jews, Zion Jews. But if you have 100 who go to Israel, are all 100 Zionists who hate everyone else? No. But is there one in that group that's probably foolish, that probably knows the current prime minister? Yes. So is he any better than Iran when they say we're going to wipe all the Jews off the kind of the face of the earth? He's their equal. So that's the problem. And that's why I said when you become independent, you don't belong to neither party. And it's easy for us because we black men, so we know about stereotype.
Yeah.
We can spot that a mile away. But we don't want to stereotype people.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you come to the country illegally, this current president, and I can't say he's doing it just because of the goodness of his heart to protect the U.S. border, could he be a little prejudiced? Yeah. Does that make him a complete racist? Not quite.
And I can agree with you on that point. And not because Oscar said it once before when he was here, and I think I've said it as well. An opportunist is a better description for what we're dealing with right now. Minus Stephen Miller, he's just a piece of shit day in, day out, right? But I won't. Yeah, I won't go into it.
Go ahead.
I'll go into it. But he's an opportunist, and he also understands the sway and the swing of hatred and racism in America. And if he doesn't understand it directly, those who are riding with him, they do, and they use it and they manipulate it. And because he's the actual executor of the office, he has to take that charge along with him because he's not fighting against it.
Who, Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Now remember, he has pardoned African Americans. Make sure I get my words right. He's pardoned, and he's like the black woman in Tennessee who got the drug charge. He let her out. He didn't just pardon her; he let her out completely.
Yeah.
So if he was completely a racist who hated black people, he wouldn't pull that stunt. Now other black folks will say he's using that to get in. Okay. Well, okay. So then you have to tell me your definition of the new racist, because the old racist who was, quote, a white American ain't helping black people in any form or fashion.
But that's the thing, right? Because racism doesn't mean total obliteration or destruction. Racism means that we're going to use you for certain means and measures to actually platform us, right? So
I think that's it. Depends on how you define racism. I think I
don't have my kids got
no, it's fine. No, because everybody has their own definition of prejudice and racism and bigotry.
But we'll do like we always do, and we'll pull up the definitions and then we'll run it through societal.
Yeah, but even when we pull up the definitions, this is where it gets tricky. Years ago, they said in the book, in the dictionary, the N-word was a African American or a dark-skinned person. Yeah. And then they cleaned it up, and then they said, forget about it, just take the word out altogether.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I think we need to also start pulling up and bringing is a Black's dictionary, a Black's Law dictionary. And the reason why is because it actually does give definitive terms and body and texture to the words that we're using, and puts
the Black's Law dictionary.
Yeah, and puts it in litigious terms for us, and that way we can begin to look at it, decipher it, and then weigh it against what we're looking at now. And I think it'll begin to make more sense when we start talking about stuff, especially when it comes to racism, bigotry, prejudice, so on and so forth in America. I think it'll help us move along, especially when we're trying to weigh that up against the court system.
Okay.
So, yeah, Black's Law Dictionary.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Okay. All right. So I have already shared the link in the chat if you want to hop on the platform and begin to engage with us all you want to. Let me also read the disclaimer real quick. Actually, give me a second. Let me give myself some theme music while I do this.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, go ahead, and then we'll come back. I want to talk about what Jeremy.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull that back up.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to read the disclaimer first.
Oh yeah. Because it's not August 28th yet.
Yep.
Or August 29th.
Yes. Not August 29th just yet. So I got to read the disclaimer. So the disclaimer, as always, views expressed are those held by the author and do not represent any other organization, company, corporation, or entity. So that is always our disclaimer. Let me go back to Jeremy's initial submission. And it says, due process guaranteed to, and I quote, any persons in the United States per the Constitution of the United States of America, immigration or criminal standing is entirely irrelevant. So
wait a minute. When he says that,
when we were talking about that, Jeremy, I don't think either one are going to disagree with that. Yeah, go ahead.
certain people on TV, the Republicans are saying that's not true. If you're here illegally, you don't get due process. That's their argument. And we're going to find out in the United States Supreme Court, because it's going to keep going back to the United States Supreme Court until they put their foot down. Now,
it is.
Kilmar
Abreu Garcia.
Yeah. Now, they said they did him wrong. He didn't get his due process. And so they brought him back. He's still going to be sent out of here. So he'll get his due process, but he's still going to be removed from the country. But I want to go to this next thing he says here.
That's right.
You jumped. You're quite good.
Yep. Racism is
a spectrum that can be enacted in various forms, and in present-day America, covert racism is much more common than overt. Giving someone a pardon from prison does not outweigh the policy that negatively impact minority communities. Okay, Jeremy. This applies to diversity programs, social safety nets, urban development, and innovation. It isn't as simple as a white man hates black people. It is exercised to policy to suppress and contain minority communities from the system. All right, so Jeremy Ricci, I'm not gonna debate that because that's your opinion, and it's a good one. Now, I don't know where he's from, but I'm from Missouri. So in Missouri, when the white man is racist towards you, he's not doing nothing for you in any safety net. He's not doing anything for you at all. But it has been upheld and reinforced by the United States Supreme Court several times. Okay, so that's his definition. But I'm telling you, the definition of white people from Missouri who are racist does not fit this definition. That's why when people talk about their definitions of a word, because of the time period we're in, that may be your definition, and it's a good one. It's a damn good one. But it's not going to be a definition for all people who may be white, who may be racist. They're not giving you no help in any form or fashion, period. And that's why when we go to the situation a few years ago with the Charlottesville, that was strictly overt racism. The Jews will not replace us.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, you're right in your opinion, but I'm also right in my opinion on the definition of racism, whether it's overt or covert. It's not always so covert. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I don't think he's disagreeing with you on that, because in the first sentence, the fourth word that he used is saying that racism is a spectrum. And so you're both you're describing a part of the spectrum that he's also analyzing and taking into consideration.
Oh, so, correct.
Yeah. So correct. he's not agreeing with you in that, in his opinion. He's got broader phrases and expansion, but he's correct when he says that it's a spectrum, because you're absolutely describing a spectrum, part of the spectrum, and he is as well. As when he went into the other aspects of it as well. That's
all right, Jeremy Ricci, he's on. Okay.
Yeah, I've known.
And he's in his real name, and I respect that.
Yeah.
These other people who come on here in these fake names. I see you, Jeremy. These other folks who come in here in their fake names, Jeremy Ricci stands on what he's saying, because the best of my opinion, that's an Italian last name, and the Italians don't lie on their last name. No, they don't.
Yeah, I've known Ricci. Shoot, golly.
So I believe that's an Italian American, if I'm correct, Jeremy Ricci.
I let him describe himself, but I know we met when I was an E4 at Fort Riley. So that was 2003, 2004, somewhere at the ending. So 2003, 2004, that's how long we've been knowing each other. Amazing comic in his own right. And has been doing it and killing it in his area regionally. I hope he continues to push and blow up. Yeah, over 20 years. Over 20 years, man.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of times and Jeremy Ricci, a lot of times when I'm watching News Nation, I'm watching another Italian American, Chris Cuomo, but he's from New York. He's from those boroughs. So the New Yorkers have their own way of looking at things. So, but coming from Missouri,
So racism is in Missouri. We have an odd brand of racism in that state, a very odd brand of it for sure. Richie, if you want to hop up, we're getting ready to get into the bill a little bit. I've posted the link a few times if you want to get on and rap with us about the actual bill. Oscar, if you're still here, I know you wanted to hop on last week. My apologies. I didn't see your message until it was a little bit too late, and I was not at the house. I was out. Like I'll be next week also, but I'm bringing my whole studio with me next week, so I won't have the same issues. I refuse. I didn't like what was going on last week. So, But yeah, we're going to hop into the bill. Just as a reminder, the current, I want to call it by its correct nomenclature, the one big beautiful bill.
My God. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's the. Okay, I'll leave that to myself. August 29th will be a different day. I'm just going to start by saying that. Yeah. So, the one big beautiful bill was signed into law by the current president on July 4th, which was the mandate or the suspense date that he had given the actual House actually for all the Republicans to sign it, push it back and forth between the House and Senate, and make sure that it got signed into law, or at least be by his desk by the 3rd or 4th of July. And he got his wish and his want. Give me 1 second. Let me read this. I'm out of the house. I'm out of the house at the moment, but let's jump on. Okay, definitely.
Yeah. Thanks for the respect. Respect back to you, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it got signed into law. There has been a lot of controversy around it. From a standpoint of the always Trumpers, is what I'll begin to call them. I don't want to call them MAGA. I don't think that does them justice in their definition. I want to say always Trumpers because when you put the word always in front of Trumpers, it gives the breadth and the gravity of what they are. They're sycophants who go ahead.
Remember, when we say word always, that leads to a stereotype. So
yeah.
Well, hold on. When you say always Trumpers or MAGA, there's a current situation where the always Trumpers are pissed off, and Donald Trump is trying to get them underneath control, and he can't because he got himself into a situation with that Epstein file. So,
but have they gone back and said, okay, we can no longer support this?
Here's what I know.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple issues when he was running, in my opinion. When he says he's going to lower the taxes for everybody, I knew he was going to do that because that's about money to take care of the rich people and then some of the middle class and maybe some of the working poor, maybe. But he has to take care of the taxes. Okay.
I got my man right here. Always, right. He's an always.
All right, but there's a few issues that Donald Trump's going to have a problem with. One is about the illegal immigration because some of those Republicans who are making money off illegal immigration want those people to keep being exploited. But the other problem, one of his other problems, is this Jeffrey Epstein. He says, "I'm going to show you everything," and this is where you'll find out there are the powers to be. All that conspiracy talk, there's some relevance to that conspiracy talk. He wanted to tell you about the UFOs. He got up in office, all those flying objects over New Jersey, didn't tell you anything. Okay.
So there was an extra summit. There was a UFO summit that came out, and there was a.
He said when he got up in office, that all that information they were hiding, that Biden wasn't running the country, and he was going to let all that information out. No, you did not. You didn't do that. So, okay. So, Mr. Summer, I went to Epstein files, JFK, and see, I agree with Mr. Summer on this.
Summa.
I'm sorry, Summa. But President Trump is dealing with a power stronger than himself. Now, did the CIA call him and say, hey, we're not letting out that UFO information? I don't know. This Epstein stuff. Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi said that she had the files on her desk, I think, in February. And then recently she said she was misquoted. Those people on the far right, hold on.
Yeah.
You're agreeing with the people on the far left. You got a problem, President Trump.
They're not.
You have these two people. So your big, beautiful bill wasn't enough to get you out of this shit with Jeffrey Epstein. They both want that information out.
They're not on. They don't. The Republicans, the Senate Republicans, already voted not to allow the information to be released.
Great. That's in the House and that's in the U.S. government. I'm saying the MAGA Republicans, those podcasters, Tucker Carlson. Oh gosh, the other crazy lady.
I know who you're talking about Fox News. She's Fox News.
Laura something.
Laura Ingraham, the Ingraham Report.
Laura Ingraham. No, there's another one too. A Laura Loomer, I believe. There's another one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but let's just give them their respect. They talked all of that talk because President Trump said, when I'm back in office, all that Epstein stuff, the list is going to come out. We're going to clear all this up. So he stuck his chest out. Well, those far-right Republicans weren't playing. They want to see it. And now you got far left.
So I'll agree with you on that. But what I'm saying is, even that final, that's not a final, but even that continued blow isn't enough for them to say, okay, enough is enough. You're actually a part of the deep state that we wanted you to fight against. It's not.
But this is where I said he got caught. The House and the Senate, for those who are up for re-election in 26.
I already vote with a pinched nose.
Oh my God. You're up for the House, and the House is up. All of their seats are up in 26. If you're a House Republican, you go against President Trump, you'll get primary. The Senate, a third of them are up for office in 26. So they're both houses are afraid that they say, hey, President Trump, we ain't backing you on this one, that they'll get primary. They're afraid. And this leads to this bill. You said, well, if the bill, some people say this bill is so bad that the Democrats will take the House back and maybe swing the Senate in 26. And from what I can see in this bill, a lot of those taxes and stuff, the taxes for you to pay less in taxes with the deductions and all that, that's going to happen immediately. But some of the other stuff about people being kicked off health care, losing their health care, I think 8 to 17 million, that's not going to happen until after the midterms. If you look closely at that bill, a lot of that stuff happens after the midterms.
Sure, it does. But okay. So before we get there, because I agree with you, I agree that it happened. The time frame of it, I agree with you on the time frames. But the reason why I don't agree when it comes to them being the Republicans being able to save their grip on both the House and the Senate is because it's already done damage. The information that's been pushed out has already done damage. And again, the reason why I say this is because we've seen the response before this even happened. I can't remember what month it was when you had primarily older white men and women out protesting against it. So I think the damage has been done and the hole is being dug. I think the Epstein thing, like Suma, that's one of his sticking points. I know he's MAGA and he'll tell you. But the actual Epstein part, it's a sticking point, but it's not enough to say, hey, this isn't my guy anymore. So they'll still ride with him regardless.
I tell you what, you're probably right. If what I read today was correct, he was telling them to shut up, basically.
Yes.
And fall in line.
Yes.
Now,
you're correct.
You're telling your base to shut up and fall in line because you know you're on your way out. This is your last term. Okay, that's a big risk.
It's huge.
It's a big risk.
So what I want to pull up as Oscar begins to jump in here and talk is I actually pulled the One Big Beautiful Bill off of Congress.gov, and I want to pull up the parts that we're going to look at as we look at it so we can make sure we see some of the actual verbiage. Okay. And when I play this back, I just got to say this to the idiots that were on TikTok saying that we don't research or we don't actually read anything. We're just headliners. We do something that most podcasts don't do. We actually pull up the documents and read them line by line, and we go through stuff.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So there were some TikTok people saying that you don't do your research?
Yeah, but they didn't know me. They didn't know me again. And they thought that it was safety in numbers, and they thought that they would bully me as if that would stir me up. And I was like, hey, I'm not calling for help on purpose. I'm not afraid of y'all. I'll fight the world by myself. So say what you need to say and get it off your chest. And, if I need to take a trip out to LA, I got to get back to California anyway. I will definitely do it. I'll be there by myself. I'll ride solo from state to state. I'm good with me. But I also validate myself as well. So that's the difference. Oscar, you got yourself on mute, brother. You got to unmute yourself. I don't know if he can. It sounded like he was traveling. But until he gets back there, let me go through and begin to read some of the actual bill from Congress.gov. And this part that I'm reading specifically, it's Title I, Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry, and primarily the nutrition part, because I believe this is where it'll actually begin to talk about SNAP. All right. So this section published, I got my screen's kind of jacked up. Let me fix this so I can read this properly. All right.
I'm trying to go to it as well. So.
And I will. Okay. Let me make it bigger. It's not
okay. Yeah. And I have it on another tab here as well.
Okay, perfect.
Once I saw your title, then I was able to go to it real quick. Okay.
Yeah. So I will start reading this where it says the first section applies to the work requirements for ABAWDs to adults who are not over 65 years old. Whereas these requirements, actually, that's not where I want to start. I want to start here. As background, these SNAP recipients, this is talking about SNAP. All right. Actually, I'll do us a better. This section prohibits USDA from increasing the cost of the Thrifty Food Plan TFP based on reevaluation of the contents of the TFP, the market-based basket of goods. Further, any annual adjustment to the cost of the plan must be based on the consumer price index for all urban consumers. As background, USDA created a TFP, cost purchasing of nutritionally adequate low cost, which is used to determine maximum monthly benefits, so on and so forth. The first section applies to work requirements for adults who are not over 65 years old, whereas these requirements currently apply to adults who are not over 55 years old. Second, the ABAWD exemption for a parent or household member with responsibility for a dependent child is restricted to a dependent child under the age of 14. Currently, those with a child under the age of 18 are exempt from the requirements. Did that make sense? That first exemption.
Wait. So you said second, the ABAWD exemption for a parent or household member with a responsibility for a dependent child is restricted to a dependent under 14.
Yes.
So what you're saying is, as long as your child is under 14, but the child is 14 or more, you're not going to get that exemption.
Exactly. And this is the clarifying part of it. It says currently those with a child under the age of 18 are exempt from the requirements.
And then this section includes an exemption for individuals who are Indians, our Native Americans, urban Indians, California Indians, but no Black folks. But they say that, okay.
Yeah. As a continuation, I'll continue this real quick. Okay. This section modifies the ABAWD waiver program's allowable state exemption under current law. The waiver program allows state exemptions based on an area having an unemployment rate of over 10% of an insufficient number of jobs. The section allows Alaska and Hawaii, which, remember, that was something that was added later, right? That was something that was added later.
Because Murkowski, I think, in Alaska. Go ahead.
Yes, to qualify for the state exemption with an unemployment rate that is at or above 1.5 times the national unemployment rate. Further, the section repeals the provision that allows a state exemption if that area does not have a sufficient number of jobs. So what I will say about this real quick, do I disagree with it in its entirety? No, I don't. And I know that might sound weird. I do not disagree with it in its entirety. And the reason why I don't disagree with it in its entirety, yes, you are able to talk on here. I will post a link again. I'll post a link again, Suma. The reason why I don't disagree with it in its entirety is because there is actual fraud that has happened with SNAP benefits. An example of that is something that I'll be talking about tomorrow night, where there were 3 people arrested in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Of course, they were Black. Of course.
Of course they were. One had 3 counts for a grand total of 18,000 that was ripped off from EBT. Another one had, I want to say, 30K, over 30,000, and another one had over 20,000. Right. And
hold on, wait. Let's go back to what Mr. Rishi said. Use your prime example. Of course, there'd be overweight black women. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And so in certain stances, certain instances, I don't agree that we simply take a direct cut, a grandiose cut to the program in the fashion that it's doing, as we continue to read it, because what it does, it begins to restrict states, and it reduces the maneuverability of states to actually push their programs, and it hinders those who are doing the right thing. It's very similar to gun laws. Gun laws hurt people who are doing the right thing and not criminals, right? So the way I understand the intent, I don't agree with the way that it's written. That's the problem that I have. The reductions that it has, the people that it's taking off, as we just read, those at 14 and under would be eligible. So you are missing a huge gap of people, not to mention the work requirements that go along with it at this point.
Wait, but that SNAP thing does not go into effect to when?
I'll have to look up the date of effect.
Hold on. I'm going to look at this other one real quick. So I'll let you keep going, and I'll look for the date of the SNAP. Oh, gosh.
Okay. And so I'll continue this section. So section 10108 limits SNAP benefits to individuals who reside in the United States, U.S. citizens, nationals, aliens lawfully admitted for permanent residence as an immigrant, with exceptions, aliens who have been granted the status of Cuban or Haitian entrant, or individuals who are lawfully residing in the United States in accordance with the compacts of free association between the United States and Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, and Palau. Currently, SNAP eligibility extends to additional individuals who are classified as alien under federal law, including an alien who is qualified for conditional entry under the asylum and refugee laws. And I read that part on purpose. Let me highlight that for you so you can see it. It was this part that I just read.
And by the way, I think I may be wrong, but I think it takes effect on October 25th, 2025.
For the SNAP?
Yes, actually, you are okay.
So.
For FY 2028, a state may elect either the FY 25 or 2026 payment error rate to calculate. So yes, it's going to be. I'll double check that. Oscar.
So it says for fiscal year 2028, a state may elect the fiscal year 2025 or 26 payment error rate to calculate a state matching fund. Yeah, I think that's in relation to the SNAP.
It is.
So this section establishes state matching. Okay, so for the section establishes state matching fund requirements for the SNAP program allotment for fiscal year 2028. So the states have to match funding requirements for the cover the cost of SNAP. That's in fiscal year 2028. So for everyone who's watching, who says we don't do the research, for the federal government, I believe, I'm pretty sure October 1st, fiscal year for the government starts on October 1st, 2028, and it ends September 30th, 2029. That's the fiscal year for the government from October through the end of September. Is that pretty correct? Here, I'll look it up to verify. Hold on.
Sounds about correct. I think it's October 1st. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Government fiscal year.
While you're looking that up, I have another article, and this article is usafacts.org, and the article is titled "What's in the One Big Beautiful Bill."
Oh,
and,
wait.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. If you trust AI, it says the U.S. government's fiscal year 2028 will run from October 1st, 2027 to September 30th, 2028.
Again, that's one of the tricky maneuvers.
Fiscal years are named for the calendar year in which they end. Wait a minute. So fiscal year 2028 would be from the period of October 2027
through 27
through September 30th, 2028. Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, governmental fiscal year starts October 1 of the prior year. So our fiscal year started October for FY25. It didn't start until October of 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then we run through September 30th, and then that next October starts the new fiscal year. So right now, what we're at 2025. October 1 of 2025 will start the actual budget for the Army for FY25. It goes a year back. I got to look up the MTO.
No, yeah. So it started October 1st, 2024 for fiscal year 25.
Yes, yeah. It starts the year prior
Okay.
in October. The September 30th is the last day of the actual fiscal year.
So not to jump, but a lot of these taxes, they end fiscal year 28. So they'll be ending September 30th of 2028, right before the election of 28.
Right before.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oscar, I'm sorry. Did you want to add something? And Suma, yes, I posted the link. If you want to hop on, just click on the link or put it in your URL and put it in as your URL, and it'll bring you backstage, and I'll be able to let you up.
Oh, I see what I'm. Okay, I got it. I see where I got all this union stuff in my head. And so when we do union stuff, we would say fiscal year 23, 24. So it start July 1st,
Yeah.
2023 and end June 30th of 24. But we would say fiscal year 23 through 24. So we wouldn't get confused. This is okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Oscar, give me 1 second. Suma, I just posted the link again. You can put it in any web browser, and it'll bring you backstage for me. Oscar, if you wanted to touch on anything from when we started up to now, by all means, hop in.
No, I was just following along with the dates with you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the work requirement age increase from what it was to age 60. I believe it starts October 1st, 2025. The SNAP nutrition education repeal is late 2025. I think the immigration citizenship rules that play a part in effect into it are October 1st, 2025, fiscal year 2026. And state reporting and admin changes, I believe it's beginning FY 2026 to be phased in.
I believe so. That's just me trying to remember what I heard on a link to YouTube.
You know what I see? When you're trying to cut corners,
It was good.
Somebody is in an Excel sheet and they're running these numbers and they're telling President Trump, do it like this so that we can still cover this, so the overall cost won't be so bad. If you just make it straight down the line, as of this fiscal period, if you don't hit these restrictions,
It's going to hurt.
These exceptions, it's going to hurt, and just be straight down the line. But they don't want to do it like that. So then they say, well, no one's going to read through all this stuff, so that when they get ready to put the screws to you, they'll say, oh, it was in the bill.
And
instead of making that bill very simplified.
Yeah. And this is the bureaucratic bullshit that we got to go through as American citizens. And I hate it for people who aren't actually paying attention to a lot of this stuff, because they are going to get caught up in the wash, and they're going to continue to vote against their best interest because they're not seeing what's happening.
No, they're going to still. No, it ain't about voting in their best interest. It's about voting for an ideology.
And I agree. Okay.
So it's not about. They're not looking at all this in detail because nobody has time when they're raising their kids and working 40 to 60 hours a week. Nobody's going to read all this. It's about an ideology. Do you think that people are getting welfare and they shouldn't? Yes. Then vote for me and I'll stop that. It's just that quick. But if they really want to do something, then you would not be giving tax breaks to the rich. You'd make one tax for everybody equally. Well, no, we don't want to do that. Well, as long as you don't change that tax code and simplify it to one page, then you'll have stuff like this.
And I think that's something that Suma put in a post earlier this week. No, I'm sorry.
I mean, a lot of the challenges too that come along with policy and the design of the policy is that, it's when people are debating effects or causes of policy, people forget that there's sunset clauses and there's sunrise clauses when it
Yeah.
takes effect and when it stops taking effect. And a lot of times they roll over to other administrations, and people can only feel their ass to the fire during one presidency over another presidency, but people blame whoever's sitting in power now when in reality it could have been somebody sitting in power before. So it's a meticulous process to make sure to see when these snowball effects start to take effect and when they started.
Yeah. So
Great point.
yep. Let me hit this this quick article. And this article is talking about briefly Snap. So everybody on Instagram, my apologies, I didn't see what you put up because I ended up covering your comments with another screen so I could read. But again, this article comes from usafacts.org, and it's called "What's in the One Big Beautiful Bill?" And it goes down. If you scroll down a little bit, talks about SNAP benefits, and it says the bill proposes cuts to and stricter work requirements for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, also previously known as food stamps. SNAP is a federal program that helps provide food assistance to low-income people. In fiscal year 2024, 41.7 million people, or 12.3% of the U.S. population, received monthly SNAP benefits. On average, there have been more than 40 million program beneficiaries each month since 2010, with the exceptions of 2019. 35.7 million, and 2020, 39.9 million. It continues to say the SNAP program primarily helps people that don't earn enough to pay for basic needs like food, housing, and healthcare. In 2023, the rate of people who couldn't afford these basic needs, known as the poverty rate, was 11.1%. That figure has shifted in the last decade, with the highest poverty rating being 14.8% in 2014 and the lowest rate in 2019 at 10.5%. So I just wanted to throw that out there. SNAP is run by yada yada yada. Federal funding 2024 $100 billion. So yeah, that's what that article sums up about SNAP. But it doesn't say is what we just read actually that talks about who's eligible and who's not, because this part specifically identifies anyone who's not an actual. Let me go back and look at it and read it because I don't want to summarize it. Currently, SNAP eligibility extends to additional individuals who are classified as alien under federal law, including an alien who has qualified for conditional entry under the asylum and refugee laws. The part previous to that or prior to that says the United States are U.S. citizens, nationals, U.S. nationals, aliens lawfully admitted for permanent residence as an immigrant, with exceptions. Aliens who have been granted status of Cuban or Haitian entrant, or individuals who are lawfully residing in the United States in accordance with the Compacts of Free Association between the United States and Micronesia and Marshall Islands and Palau. So if you don't fall under those categories, you should not be able to benefit legally, as far as this budget bill is concerned, for SNAP benefits. And again, the age requirement shifted from 18 and under to 14 and under. Just wanted to throw that out there.
So you just said this section for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits to individuals who reside in the U.S. Either you have to be a U.S. citizen or a U.S. national, lawful alien, admitted for permanent residence as an immigrant. And then you said there were some exceptions. Aliens who've been granted the status of Cuban or Haitian entrant, or an individual who was lawfully residing in the U.S. with some type of compacts of free association between the United States, Micronesia, Marshall Islands, or Palau. No one's going to remember that. No one's. Oh God.
Yeah.
No one's.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't read that, and they're going to be pushed out without knowing that, hey, I no longer get these SNAP benefits. Currently, SNAP eligibility, because this is the sentence that says who actually gets it, who can get it now. Currently, SNAP eligibility extends to additional individuals who are classified as an alien under federal law, including an alien who is qualified for conditional entry under the asylum and refugee laws.
So you're telling me that you're not an alien under federal law who has qualified under the asylum and refugee. I can't get no more SNAP.
I'm not telling.
That's how it is currently. So currently, the SNAP eligibility extended to additional individuals.
Yes.
Currently, but that's over with now.
Yes.
But we still don't know the exact date. I'm still looking for the date that this goes into effect for the SNAP.
I mean, well, here's the challenging part too. As somebody that has gone through the immigration process and become naturalized in the United States, one of the things that's really important to note is that when people become, green card holders or they go through the process, the important thing to realize is that they do ask you specifically that are you going to be, basically the questions lead them to understand, are you going to be a burden to the system or are you going to be an asset to the system? Whether you are going to come into the United States and take of federal programs or state programs, or if you're going to be a contributing, a contributing factor to the tax programs and stuff like that. So that's where I think a lot of the caveats are coming into play.
Yeah.
Is, they're basically saying, if you're going to come to the United States, we don't want you to be from the get-go on social programs.
That's
right?
but it's hard for me to imagine someone being able to come to the U.S. and directly, not saying that it's not possible, but just be on your feet as soon as you get here.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. Yeah.
And so
especially
this is
when you don't know the language and you don't know things. I mean, most of the jobs that you get are low income jobs.
Absolutely. And so this is limiting and removing anything further until a status is actually established for what we read qualified. And now again, I agree with some of the things that are being done in this, which is defining who can get it, so on and so forth. I don't agree with the method in which it's being done, which is just taking a knife and cutting millions of people open. That's the part I don't agree with. My man, it's been so long since I seen this fella right here.
What?
Look at that handsome face. We got you on.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you too, man.
Man, that was frustrating.
Oh, you were trying to get in?
I have no clue what I do, and I've been clicking stuff for a half hour.
You look good. His lighting looks good. He looks good.
And you keep talking. I'm like, oh, I want to respond. Yeah.
So weigh in, Suma. Weigh in.
I don't even know where we're at.
Okay, so right now we were just finishing up talking about who qualifies and who does not qualify for SNAP, the effects of the actual budget bill. We were talking about a date. I'll let them state it, but we were talking the parameters have shifted from what it used to be to where it is now. And what I was saying is there are things that I agree with, things that I don't agree with. One of the things that I don't agree with is the method in which we have gone through, or they have gone through, and cut millions of people in America from SNAP. All right. The thing that I do agree with is putting definitions and terms in place so that we do remove people who are actually abusing the situation. You there? Yep, you still here.
Yeah, I was getting double feedback. Like it was like
you gotta turn, if you've got two things on, you gotta turn one down.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine.
If he has it on Facebook, he has to turn that down on his phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were actually just about to jump into Medicare and Medicaid.
Sorry, you gotta hold my hand through this deal here.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. So we can hear you. We don't hear feedback from you at all.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm looking, I still can't see a hard date of when this thing starts. And that's what kind of frustrates me is when you do all this stuff, it should be clear cut to where a person with a first grade education can come on here and say, okay, it starts this date.
Mm.
It needs to be written that clear. And when they don't do it like that, then I don't trust you. Because all I keep seeing is for fiscal year 2028, a state, and we've already said that that fiscal year 28 starts October 1st, 2027. A state may elect
I think
for either fiscal year 2025, well, they can because that year's already started already, or fiscal year 2026, a payment error
yeah,
rate.
the immigration rules and citizenship rules take effect on October 1st, 2025.
Right, but the SNAP, when I'm looking at the SNAP, when all these SNAP rules go into effect, it talks about the matching. But I'm looking on here. I want to see the start date for the SNAP.
Yeah, the SNAP application repeal is loosey goosey. They didn't really give a specific date, and
Okay.
the state reporting and admin changes. It's also
Okay.
loosey goosey. It just says roughly beginning fiscal year
Yeah.
2026
or 2028. So fiscal year 2026 starts October 1st, 2025. So you got between now up to October. If you decide to go in fiscal year 2026, that's going to start October 1st, 2025. You got a few months to make a decision.
That's
if you
it.
want to match this. Okay.
Yes, you're absolutely correct.
Now, for fiscal year 2029 and each fiscal year after, the state match is calculated using the payment error rate that is 3 fiscal years prior. Okay, so this is above. Okay, this is why they don't talk about this on TV because it gets so far into the weeds. Someone from the government who wrote this would have to say, okay, this is what it means, and then someone else would have to say, okay, I agree with you on what you say it means, or I disagree. I think you're wrong. I'm taking you to court.
Yeah. So I'm looking also, and I can't see anything definitive. Wait a minute. The section established state matching fund requirements for the cost. I think you said this one already, Oscar. Cost of SNAP programs allotments beginning FY 2028.
Yeah.
That's for state contributions. Yeah, that one you said already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we read that part already. I'll do some more digging. I'll take that as a note. I'll do some more digging, and I'll find a date for us. I'll find a date. So moving forward to Medicaid.
I was going to say something real quick that is something that I always find like a challenging thing, just in terms of programs in the United States, is that I think a lot of times it feels like it's an all or nothing, right? So if we're looking at what is the minimum income level somebody should make to be on a SNAP program, and with the 80-hour work requirement per month, right? So now that will possibly rule out a lot of people, because a lot of times these programs are, if you make 1 cent over the minimum balance or the minimum amount allotted, you get the program repealed from you, or you get it removed from your eligibility. So that's one of my fears with a lot of these programs. I feel like they should always have done them in phases. Like, if you make slightly more, you get X percentage help. If you make less, then you get a higher amount, so doing it in phases, depending on the person's income and how much extra help they need. But I feel like a lot of programs have been written in such a way that if you make 1 cent over that amount and you're completely out of the program, and then you're in the similar situation where you're struggling to make ends meet, struggling to put food on the table, and struggling to have a basic lifestyle that allows the bare necessities,
Yeah.
Same thing with health. I feel like if you make just slightly over a certain thing, you get, there's all these cutoffs. And I wish there was just a ramp up, more if you make less if you make more type of thing. So, because I was looking to see if how it affects somebody in California or the Bay Area, right? With minimum wages being differing across the country, how it affects somebody in California at an 80-hour work week. Does it cut the person off the SNAP program because they make $5 or $6 over the qualifying amount?
Yeah.
That's my only goal.
Gotcha. Dwight, did you have anything? It feels funny calling you Dwight. I just want to throw that out there. You with us? Now we can't hear you. I don't know what you're doing. You turned down the wrong thing. If you got Bluetooth earphones, it works a lot better. And so what you might have to do is go to settings and then go to your audio and then pick the audio that pick your phone or whatever device you're on. That way it'll bring your volume back up for us. So while you're figuring that out, I want to start jumping into Medicaid, and if we need to, we can circle back around for you. All right. So to your point, Rich, when I'm looking at the Medicaid, and while looking at the Medicaid portion, it does actually give a date at the beginning. So what I did previously is I went back up in Snap to see if I could find a date, and I couldn't. So this one is written a little bit different when it's talking about the Medicaid, Medicare and Medicaid services, CMS, to establish. And so this is subchapter A, reducing fraud and improving enrollment processes.
I'm right with you. I'm looking at it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to jump down to the second paragraph, and I'm going to start with the date, because it says beginning no later than 2027, states must regularly obtain the addresses of Medicaid and CHP, the CHIPS, which stands for Children's Health Insurance Program, enrollees from specified authorized sources.
Hold on. Yep. So when you say beginning no later, notice how they don't say fiscal year. So they say beginning no later than 2027. When in 2027? That's the first thing I'd say. January? Is it June? Is it December? When in 2027?
I'm going to, and that's the bad part. And so what I'm going to say right now is just opinion, totally opinion, and not fact. And it's not fact because I haven't read it anywhere. But when I see beginning no later than 2027, my guess is calendar year 2027. So
okay.
January 1. That's my guess.
Okay, sounds good.
All right,
but we don't know when in the calendar year. Because then it tells you. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right. We do not know when. It just says.
I don't think that's a mistake, because they're quick to tell you fiscal year. But then when they don't put a fiscal year in front of the 2027, then it leaves you guessing.
Yeah, because this one doesn't say fiscal year. This just says beginning no later than, and later on we read beginning no later than FY 2030. Right. You with us, Dwight?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, gotcha.
Figured it out.
All right, we got you.
The original page I had open, and then this thing that I'm on here now.
Gotcha.
I don't know what this is. So they were both talking. So like when you were talking, the other one, so I figured out. I was like, oh, I need to close the other one off.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. So weigh in. Where you at right now? What are you thinking right now?
I think it's doing everything right.
The bill?
Yeah. So I don't know how I want to describe myself. If you don't know, I'm a hybrid person. I'm a Trump person, but I am not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm pretty anti-government.
Yeah, but you're a Trumper some days. It's not every day sometimes.
Yeah. And this, back on that Epstein thing, it's literally a deal breaker for me.
Really?
Hold on. Hey, Dwight. Wait, Dwight. I want to ask you a question, Dwight. See, this is what I was trying to say about that, Mr. Glass. Dwight, you're not registered as a Democrat, or you're not registered as a Republican.
No, I'm independent.
So, are you registered as an independent? Or are you no political preference?
Independent.
So you're registered with the Independent Party as being an independent.
Yes.
Okay, and I want people to be real clear on this.
Actually, I'm not. Actually, I'm registered. I'm registered libertarian.
Okay, so you're registered libertarian. That's even better. I want people to understand this. I believe Mr. Glass is a registered Democrat.
Sound shocked.
The Independent Party is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And people always go with the Independent Party, but that doesn't mean what they think it means.
Right. But if Mr. Glass is a registered Democrat, I think Oscar. No.
No.
You registered at?
I'm a registered independent.
With the independent party.
No, not with the independent party. No, political affiliation.
All right. So let's be clear when we're talking on this.
Yeah.
If you say you are no political preference, I am registered no political preference in the state of California. I used to be a Democrat. Dwight says he is a registered libertarian. Oscar, what are you?
I'm independent. I don't believe in the two-party system.
So you're not registered with no political party?
No political party affiliation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now when I talk to everyone on here, I have to really, now we're going by issues. I can't just come at you.
What I want to put something that like really that burns me is more I think about it. I'm actually registered as a Republican here in Kansas City or Independence, Missouri, and so I'm only given in two options to the best of my knowledge. It's either Democrat or Republican. So when I go to the voting station here, that's right here in Independence, they got two versions they give you. You're either Republican or Democrat, and your ballot is tailored to that.
Dwight,
I don't know what's on the Democrat ballot, because it's one or the other.
And listen, I'm laughing because that's the state of Missouri.
Yeah.
I'm in California. You can be all kinds of different political parties or be no party preference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just a thing here. I don't know.
I'm not surprised.
It's unfortunately a pigeonhole. And I feel bad because I have been out in Kansas City, or at least Summit, so many times it's ridiculous. And I haven't hit you up once. I feel horrible.
Right.
Hey, I want to know, because I have a good feeling, I think I do know, when Dwight says that the Epstein file, he wants that information released, because I do too. And he says that that's really a burning point for a lot of people who voted for president.
I'm a Trump guy, and but that is just it. That's my draw. I mean, Oh, and I want the JFK files, and I want to know if there's freaking Martians on our planet.
So
check this out.
Stuff they promised. I want it.
Yeah.
So check this out. And I told Mr. Glass this maybe, I don't know how many years ago. There's people on the far right and there's people on the far left who want these answers. And so you have these two opposite groups who don't agree on anything. But on certain issues, when they come together to agree, you'll flip your country. You'll lose your country.
Look at it. The whole thing that's happened since the day he took office, we were promised waste, fraud, and abuse and they're going to release all this other stuff. There's been nobody arrested for waste, fraud, and abuse that I'm aware of. They've discovered billions and billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse. Nobody's in jail. Crooked politicians, don't see nobody in jail. I don't see any information getting released. I don't see anything.
That's a good point.
Nothing. Nobody's been arrested that I'm aware of for all this waste, fraud, and abuse.
Listen to this. The reason why you don't see any arrests, because people on the far right and people on the far left, when we talk about these conspiracy ideas, they say, "Oh, you guys are crazy." But when it's time to put up on the UFO situation, you won't do it. Now, I think the CIA got a hold of President Trump and said, "You're not letting this out."
Probably. But I also look at those two political parties as just two sides of the same coin.
Perfect answer. Perfect answer.
That's how I feel. I'm 57 years old. I've watched politics my entire life. I've watched the Israelis and the Palestinians go at it my entire life. And I don't have faith in our government. And just for your information, I'm retired Army and I work for the government. I work for the VA. So,
wait. Since you retired Army, I'm a veteran. Mr. Glass is retiring military here shortly.
Yeah, man.
Government. So what I'm hearing you say, Dwight, is that you believe in your country and that you are going to die for your country and you still love your country, but you have questions. That's what I'm hearing you say.
It's not the country, it's the politicians.
I agree.
Because I don't want nothing to happen to
I
Mr.
swear to God, I'll be perfectly fine if we went to Washington, D.C. and burned it to the ground,
Well, wait.
I
I want to make sure that everything that Mr. Dwight says, that his job with the VA stays secure because he's a patriot and he loves this country, and he will never lose his job because of his freedom of speech about his concerns about our U.S. government. That's what I want to make sure of.
Yeah. And I can directly vouch for Dwight. We worked together. Great guy. Had a blast working with him. Always did. So no, it's not the country that he's upset with. It's our politicians, and I don't blame them. A lot of people, a lot of American citizens, on regardless of the side of the aisle that you fall on, should be absolutely pissed with our politicians, because everything, and I said this once before, everything that's happening is nothing more, nothing less than performative. Nobody's actually doing a job.
But remember, some of the Democrats who were government employees recently, who had things to say in a negative fashion about the current president, the commander in chief, they're out of a job. So I want to make sure Mr. Dwight keeps his job with the VA, period.
So I'm retired, so
this is just a pastime for him.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna, I love my job. I love taking care of veterans, and that's what I do. But I'm not really worried about anything happen to me. So
yeah.
Well, I don't trust the internet. I don't trust social media. And if you're saying something that's so powerful that other people are believing in, I do believe, depending on who's watching you, that you'll get monitored. I believe that. I stand by what I say. They've already sent the cops to my house.
I've accepted that my entire life.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I have. I mean, I'd love, I've been in government for 37 years. I'd love to know how many emails I've had in 37 years. I can tell you that working at the VA for 4 years, I have legitimately filed 3,600 concerned cases on behalf of veterans.
Oh, wow.
That's not even counting all the phone call support I've provided them, walk-ins, email. Yeah. 3,700.
And so not to shift the target too far, but we could, because this is what I'm starting to plan and what I'm starting to see, because it's going to take us a while to actually dissect this budget bill since it's been passed. So we're going to be on this thing for a while, but I think it's worth taking a quick pause to venture down the question of why is it that the Epstein files are the thing that broke the camel's back?
Because I feel lied to. I'm sick of the promises not being kept, and I'm sick of the lying. I don't care who it's from there. And it's just, So I look at Trump this way. You have to take Trump, the 90% of him that you want, and you have to take the bad medicine, the other 10%.
Yeah.
And the no different than like if you're a JFK person, if you really know the history of JFK, that guy was dirty as hell. He messed with so many women, even while his wife is around the corner. I mean, he was just dirty as hell. But he was also trying to do some stuff for our country. He was going to get us out of Vietnam. And getting us out of Vietnam was going to hurt the military-industrial complex. And call it conspiracy or whatever you want, but I think that's what got him whacked.
And the banking system.
Yeah. That's just my personal opinion. And every year goes by that I get older and I watch these politicians, and even with Trump in there, because I consider him an outsider, it doesn't matter which side they're on.
So I have a question about the Epstein files. I believe the powers to be told President Trump, you're not releasing those files. Here's the second thing, though, I want to ask. The attempt on his life in July of 24 in Butler, Pennsylvania, Dwight, do you believe that was a true attempt, or was it staged?
No, I believe it was real. Real people really died.
Do you think that maybe some
I don't know
real
what's behind it. I mean, nobody does. I mean, they're going to suspend or fire some Secret Service agents over it.
Do you think that maybe some real people were sacrificed, just like with 9/11, when they sacrificed those people in that building? Because that's a big conspiracy.
I don't believe that conspiracy.
Or you don't believe that one?
No.
Okay. So you do believe that the attempt on his life in July of 24 in Butler, Pennsylvania, you believe that was an accurate attempt to assassinate him?
Yeah.
And
So-
what about this? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, not so because it's the Epstein files that did it for you. But what about that nobody's going to put their hands on Medicaid, Medicare? Who's one of those?
Okay, so
That
going down that level is with the support that bill's giving for the people in our country. I believe in helping people, and without taking an hour to go down a rabbit hole, but I'm not against immigration. My wife is a green card holder, so you know we all got here, and a reason we're getting a lot of South American people into our country is because we jacked up their country. We messed in their elections. We helped put in illegitimate leaders just so our corporations could go down and take advantage of their resources and stuff. And they've been left poverty stricken over it. And you know, this has been a decades going on thing. And now their countries are caving in. And, you know, so they're rushing here to get away from it. You know, we caused that.
But
It's our own fault.
But wait, hold on. You're right. Now, wait a minute. Factually, you are correct. That was the work of our CIA. But yet, other people will call that a big conspiracy. So this is where it gets tricky. I know, but there are people in our country who refuse to acknowledge that the CIA is, quote, our professional, as I call them, go-getters. I'm going to watch how I say this because I don't want this man to lose the podcast.
Everybody knows this. You've heard of the School of the Americas and everything.
Well, I just don't want this person to lose their podcast because
I won't. I'm self-funded.
not just that, but
The retiree.
because you know, I just got a thing saying that they don't want to live stream me on YouTube anymore because they said I wasn't playing right. I wasn't playing by the rules or something.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
I was just saying things that someone
Really?
doesn't want to hear. Oh yeah. So even on this social
This is the
media
first time in my life I've ever been on one of these things. So
Well,
well, look, on this social media, they will flag you. Anyway, but I want to go back to what you said about immigrants because you don't know me, and I'm not an immigrant to this country. Neither is my family. My family were enslaved Africans. So when they run that political story about we're a country full of immigrants, that's an absolute lie. And the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment addresses the children of the enslaved African. So I don't have a fight with those who come to the country. I would say you have to come to the country legally. But I'm not saying that from a racist standpoint. I'm saying that if you allow people to come to America illegally, regardless of all the corruption that America has taken to other countries, then you'll have a country that has an open border. And that open border will lead to a world government one day where there is no borders. That's what I don't want.
So look at it like this as an open border. We can't have it. So in my lifetime, when I was a kid, I believe we had a population of 290 million, 200 and maybe 300 million. I think we're up to like what, 360 million people. So we've added 60 million people just in the past 50 years. So you just add that up per state that we've absorbed that amount of people in our country. We can't just keep going until they're running off the edges. We have to be able to support those people. We have to have support systems. So my experience with it is I'm originally from Iowa. So I worked in slaughterhouses. I was in the slaughterhouses when they first started bringing illegal immigrants in because there wasn't no Hispanic people. It was either white, black, or Vietnamese. And they were busting illegal immigrants up there. They took over entire small towns in Nebraska and Iowa. So they no health insurance. So they weighed in on these places' healthcare systems. They weighed in on these places' school budgets. They had to cut their school budgets to help support all the illegal immigrant kids that were coming in. So it's a really complex thing,
So let me ask you
It's
this.
not something you can just sum
Just-
up in a sentence, you know.
Sure, but a lot of the stance that we have as a country is against the quote unquote illegal immigrant. But I very rarely hear anybody, like you were just talking about the slaughterhouse. I haven't heard anyone talk about the owners of the slaughterhouses that are actually hiring these people and creating the conditions that are allowing this to happen.
They should
Because-
be in prison.
Oh, hell, never mind. You answered that.
Well, wait, let's go back to.
Have you ever been on a construction site?
Yes,
Be a carpenter.
I lived in
Do
Arizona.
you
I
know what goes on a construction site?
Yep.
If you really want to see something crazy, and you
Yep.
see how people divide themselves, but if you go to a construction site, I did framing construction. You have certain groups of people do certain things. You have the framers, you have the roofers, and you have the concrete guys. And the roofers are usually people that came over from Africa. The concrete guys, most of the time, are probably the Hispanics. And now they've gotten into framing too. But it used to be that was predominantly white people that did the framing. And that's how it was broke down. You know?
Hey, well, hold on, Dwight. And Oscar's gonna laugh when I say this. I lived in Arizona, and so when I went to construction sites, wasn't no Africans, wasn't no Asians. It was all Latinos, all of them.
But here,
You had one
I'm
white
basing
guy-
this off of 20 years ago, okay?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And-
So when I was there in the 2000s, all those homes that were being built in the Phoenix area, that was all Latinos from across the border building those homes. I mean, they were doing it all.
so are we saying that there aren't enough resources in the United States of America that everyone who comes over here looking for a job can't work? Or
We can't afford to be the social safety net. We can't.
but
Listen,
Not sitting here $37 trillion in debt. We can't afford it.
Hold on.
but hold on. But working doesn't create a social safety net. When a person is performing a labor or a task or a job, they're not asking for the social safety net. They're actually putting their hands to work.
I'm not talking about people putting their hands to work. I'm talking about the people we're talking to in that bill, the people who are, or what do you call it, grifting the system.
Okay, so then we're actually talking about,
Like the food stamps, the Medicaid fraud, all that stuff.
we would actually have to be predominantly be talking about red-blooded Americans, because Americans are the ones who are predominantly taking the system for a ride. It's not the immigrants or the quote unquote undocumented or illegal immigrants.
I agree.
You would
listen,
not
listen to
believe-
this.
Like,
Listen to this. Hey, Dwight, listen to this.
Yeah.
Because some people think I'm a Republican. Some people think that I'm just crazy. Listen to this. When the U.S.
the
government,
right group.
listen, when the U.S. government sends billions upon billions to rebuild Iraq, okay, that's the latest one I can think of. No one says we don't have the money, because your money
Who do you
is
think's
coming-
going to rebuild Ukraine?
We are. But listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
But check this out, Dwight. Your money is being created from thin air. It's not being created from people working. See,
Oh.
that's when you got off the gold standard. Yep, I know y'all don't want to hear this.
Where's
Your
Deuce?
money, yeah, Deuce should have his ass here tonight. Your money is being created from thin air. So, in other words, when they tell you we can't afford to do this and that, well, then you're telling me that my religious belief that the God I serve tells me that I can't do something. I don't believe that. We create money out of thin air. So when we tell everybody across the earth that we are the greatest people or the greatest nation, and we can do it all, well then, yes, we can do it all, because we're creating the money out of thin air. But when we create that money out of thin air, everybody wants a piece of that money. Everybody across the world says, give me US dollars.
Except
Man, our country is just that way. Look at the COVID relief funds. How many people ripped that system? It's just horribly ripped it off. They had no care that the money was going to take care of people, you know, for legitimate means. And these people like frauded the hell out of it, you know?
Well, wait.
There isn't a dollar
Okay.
that's safe in this country that somebody's not going to try.
Come on, this is where I have to take it for the people who frauded COVID, the Shamiquas of the world who may be on Snap and shouldn't be on Snap. This is where I'm gonna have to defend them a little bit, because the last time I checked, all these corporations they claim they're paying taxes. I don't believe that. I don't.
Say what?
These corporations that claim that they're paying taxes, I don't believe that. So when we have a tax code that's so complicated, it's not simple. If you make this much money, you pay this much in taxes. Go
I
ahead.
can't even go down that rabbit hole.
No. You have to.
So
Because if we're going to call out the poor people for not acting right, we're going to call out the people who cross the border illegally. Then we're going to call out these rich fuckers. These rich individuals. We're going to call their asses out too.
yeah, but so
I'm not trying to sound like AOC or Bernie Sanders. That's not what I'm trying to say.
you're not. You're sounding like an American who's looking at it from both points.
We're going to call it. Then let's call it.
So Oscar and Zoe, I want y'all to jump in and weigh on what we're talking about also, because again, we'll get back to the budget bill. We're going to be covering that for a while. But Zoe, what you got? I saw you put something in the chat. What you in on?
You know, the past what I feels like the past 3 presidencies, it feels like we can't get this. You know, we blame a lot of things on immigration. Mind you, the reason we bring immigration is because America is a corporation and we need workers, and America loves a discounted worker. You know, at the end of the day, and we love scapegoating, because if there's an elephant in the room, nobody really wants to talk about that, because at the end of the day, things are getting paid. That's why the inflation situation is going tremendously. If I am a landlord and I got everybody on rent mode, I'm not changing anything. At the end of the day, people that are struggling need to pay up. Now, I'm playing the advocate of the capitalist, because this is America.
The people struggling need to pay up?
In terms of, I'm playing the advocate of, if I'm rich, you know, I'm explaining where we at a standpoint in America, right? We used to be about no taxation without representation. Now we the people feel like we've been like getting the runaround. If this is a corporation, a lot of people got fired, including, you know, all the people that are supposed to be super smart, you know, and I'm not saying that they're not smart, but if the government is being fired upon in terms of the people are getting mass unemployed, then we got to also look at the unemployment rate situation. Where are we at really? Because there's a lot of smoking mirrors. And since everybody's talking on both sides of the aisle and nobody can come together, we need an equalizer. You know, in terms of what's being done right now, I almost feel like there is record profits. That's why the whole tariff situation came into play.
So I'm gonna pause you right there, Zoe, because
that's all I got to say about that.
No. I appreciate you bringing that point up. And Oscar, I want you to weigh in on this also. When we're talking about tariffs and we're talking about revenue being made from tariffs, the question that I have is, who pays tariffs?
We do.
So
The consumer.
The consumer. And so where is the money coming from that we are seeing these gross profits being made at?
I think overall, we're just basically all getting paid less and then paying more for all the goods that we used to get. And supposedly there's a lot of free labor going around. So there's got to be profit margins that are off the scale in some of these corporations.
There's nobody having any mercy from us from being our own American corporations. 20 years ago, you could buy a Ford F-350 for $58,000 for a Ford F-350 Lariat. Now that same truck is going to cost you like $110,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like,
I bought a brand new Tahoe in 2005, fully loaded.
I understand that. Like, getting a truck as a Mexican is like now buying like a house. You know what I'm saying? Because we love trucks. So we settle for the basic situation, or we, you know, get a coupon city somewhere on the lines. I digress. But I think overall what I'm saying is that the I can't even say that word. It's too complicated for me. It's beyond my pay grade. The people that run the corporations are running, you know, I'm guessing Capitol Hill. And these bills that are going off the Richter scale, nobody really understands them because they're all talking heads. And a lot of these people are playing these charades. So you really have to find out who are the people that are pushing these bills, these corporations, and find out where the money's really going. Because if all the things that used to be cheap now are not cheap, and to raise prices is really difficult. Businesses are going out of businesses, and it's also very difficult to find labor because what we've seen in California with the raids, nobody's trying to get arrested, deported, or put in alligator situations, even though alligators are not that mean, y'all.
Oh my God.
If anybody's ever crossed the lagoon, we've seen alligators. I was talking as a Mexican, we've seen them. You just gotta go blah or something, lose your cool, and they're gonna be out of there.
I don't know. I'm not willing to try it. I'm not willing to try it.
I'm not willing to try it, but I'm just saying I'm not scared. We shouldn't be scared running around, because if everybody's running scared and I'm not paying for this and I'm not paying for that and I'm not. Meanwhile, we are paying for it. And we've been saying that same cry for the past 3 presidencies. We've been deporting mad whatever, and it appears that now Americans are almost to that point that let's deport even Americans. There's no habeas corpus, so we're stepping on a lot of lines that we never used to step on.
I'm good with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, pause out. So hold on, give us a second. Os, did you want to weigh in on something?
There was a whole lot said. Yeah, about I just think on a bigger scale, I always come back to this. We are faced with challenges that we have not seen before. And what I mean by that is challenges on ownership of ports worldwide by the Chinese and the influence of the Russians and Chinese.
Valid.
By competition by the Chinese. I can guarantee you that if you talk to any person in the Navy, in the military, I am pretty damn sure that they have seen the latest and greatest of the Chinese submarines that are going out there that are carrying a lot of similar weaponry that we carry. And it wasn't like that ever before. We didn't have, aside from the
Russian.
The Red Scare and the Russians and
USS
all that stuff, but now we're seeing it more than ever. We're being challenged as a nation, financially, economically, technologically. Anytime that we feel like we're getting ahead, we see something that China goes like, hey, look, we did your AI thing way cheaper. We spent $8 million and you spent $200 million doing the same thing, So in the end, we're really being tried by all these external factors. And I don't feel like we can afford to keep infighting at this moment in time.
So my take on that, Oscar, is the Chinese are doing the same thing to us that we did to Russia.
Yeah.
You didn't have to fire a shot to take Russia down in the Soviet Union. We didn't have to fire a shot. We ran them into the ground financially, trying to keep up with us. And right now, we have a $900 trillion military budget. We have 11 aircraft battle groups. And they're talking about having to spend more to keep up with the Chinese. They're doing the same thing. Chinese are doing the same thing to us. Because they know we're broke, we're in debt, we're not going to be able to keep up.
Yep. And the problem is that we're indebted to them.
Right, Oscar.
Guys, there's a solution to all this. And Ronald Reagan did it way back in the day, and all he did was just put amnesty on all the immigrants and it put everybody to work. And it was amazing.
I'm a pause. Let me pause you on that one real quick, because I wanted to ask a different question, just to go a little bit of a different way, but it still ties into what you're talking about, Zoe. And the question that I have is, if as a country we've gotten to a stall point, and Oscar, this is what you were touching on, because we've stalled out. It's kind of like we've peaked. Then what does that mean for progress for the American people? If we are still simply celebrating the ingenuity and the robust way of living from the 70s and 80s, and we've seen we're seeing ourselves in decline, then what does that say for our society at large as far as progress is concerned in all of these different areas, in technology, in manufacturing, in agriculture, so on and so forth, especially if China is able to easily just dip in and begin to do to us what we did to the Soviet Union back in the day. What does that say about us?
Well, I think one of the
You're
biggest
in trouble.
challenges,
That's what it says.
it is trouble, and the problem with, and eventually, speaking in terms of like nations and nations growth, like at some point nations peak, and unfortunately, I think we have to. It's kind of like I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but
So
yeah, like he was mentioning, at some point, our labor in America is really expensive. And it's the same thing that happened in Japan, right? Japan was the manufacturer for a while. Labor got really expensive. We got expensive labor. So at some point, capitalism needs cheap labor in order to continue. And that's the unfortunate part about the system and how it works, is if it doesn't have cheap labor, it kind of stalls.
I don't know about that
I
word
to-
cheap.
I
That word
to-
cheap. Hold up. See, that's and pardon me. I can't see your name either or your face, but
Oscar and Zoe.
Oscar. Excuse me. Pardon me.
We can call it
No,
indentured servitude because
when-
that's what it is.
Yeah.
when yes, but here's the thing though. Good old fashioned get your hands dirty. That's what America's been built upon. And that in a way we have something that other nations don't have, and he has a name. And the first person that started this nation, George Washington, he knew that the paperwork and the framework that this nation was built upon was based off the fact that if we the people say the things that we need to say to liberate ourselves, such as taxation and a free market, those are things that already should function already. I'm saying we need to stick to the blueprint and get away from all the semantics, because
Wait
a
a
lot of the people, if we're willing to put people in an alligator situation, Alcatraz, and putting them in a slave situation, we got money to put them to work, bro. I know
So-
Taco Tuesday, a bunch of Mexicans will come through and taco prices will go down. Right now, taco prices are ridiculous, bro. $7
So-
for one taco. Let's
So-
talk mathematics.
So,
The
hey, hold on,
mathematics,
so
we need more hands.
right,
We
so
need more
so
people.
so wait a minute,
Yes.
hold on. See, soon as you said George Washington, I saw Mr. Glass. He did the same thing I think.
Yeah, I
But
want
here's
to.
the first thing. Here's the first thing. This country started with the labor of the enslaved African. Get your foundation right, okay? And then it also said that if you weren't a white male property owner, you weren't voting in this country, okay? Then came all the rest of that stuff.
Oh,
you gave
I mean,
black.
my brother, my friend, I understand. As Mexicans,
Right.
we gave half of our empire because we didn't understand a lot of things in capitalistic situations.
Okay, so again,
merchants,
right.
right?
But again, your capitalism was based off of enslaved labor that was free. Okay,
Well,
that's
we're
the first
still
thing. Here's the
slaves.
second thing.
The
No, you
word-
can't dispute that. You can't
There's
dispute
debt
that.
slaves now that
Hold on,
slaves-
hold on. Let me break this down for you because I can do it really quick.
Okay, sorry.
That's the first thing. This country got off to its great start by free labor of the enslaved African.
Yes,
Period.
I'm not disputing that.
Okay,
I am
right.
not
But
disputing
now,
that.
but hold on, wait. I want to go to your word about empire because this is where you're on to something. So a pamphlet was written about every great country or nation has its 240 to 260 year empire. The Roman Empire had two periods, the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire. Now, the guy who wrote that was a guy in England. So he may have been biased towards that group of Europeans that called themselves Romans. But every great empire lasts between 240 and 260 years. People are predicting that America is going to fall off the cliff. This is where I'm betting on the American mindset that we will not fall off the cliff at the peak of our empire. I believe we'll go into another part of our empire or a new empire period. But that's just me being pro-American. I stop there.
I agree with what you said thoroughly, and thank you. I mean, I'm being comical
Yeah.
and trying to be, trying to finesse the conversation.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
at the end of the day, for every person that comes into this country, seen or unseen, there's definitely we need to get our mathematics correct, because from both sides of the aisle, us coming over here from a blue state, everything is super taxed, right? And I see a lot of people behind the businesses, and they all look like me. And sometimes when I go to job applications, they all think like this guy looks fresh off the boat. So I'm gonna give him a discount situation if he really wants to go to work. So no matter what I do, or no matter how many diplomas I put on my wall, at the end of the day, if I say "si, senor," I'm a much more pleasant fella. If that
Hmm.
makes sense, because we live in a very biased society. No matter what, like I've gone out to places and I dress a certain kind of way. I can switch up my dialect or my way I linguistics, but the way that I move. But at the end of the day, all these things come into play when the mathematics don't catch up, and it's different for everybody, because the free market doesn't let us work. I know a lot of bureaucracy in California is off the chain. You can't build nothing unless you got like the right people at the right place at the right time, and hope and pray that the weather is going your way, right? I mean, so we got a lot of land, so much land that can be worked upon, and so many systems that can be put to work. But I think overall, if we stop these discussions and get to work, like my dad says, let's talk more work, we would get ourselves out of this,
You're not going to, you're not going to catch up with a billionaire simply through labor. It's impossible. It's impossible. And then not just that, but you're also not going to legislate your way through morals, because we can't legislate morality,
That's true.
right? So I understand what you're saying. I get that, but I don't think that simply going to work is the answer to where we are right now, because we've been to work,
Going
we've
to work.
been
You've
working,
been working.
right? And we've not found any relief. Actually, we found things getting worse.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
Maybe that's my working class mentality, that like if you just show up every day, things are gonna be all right. You're not gonna win the world, and maybe I wasn't blessed to be a billionaire or bajillionaire or what have you. But the other day, you know what? I scratched my car and I got so upset that I didn't have the money to fix it. But then at the end of the day, I was like, in 20 years, it's not gonna matter. So why am I gonna spend money to just remove these scratches off my whip? No, let those scratches ride, and I'm gonna save myself that money, because it's so hard to maintain. It's getting really hard out here for people, and I think it's not resonating in this bill. If we are to put so much debt on the American people, I don't think this makes any sense, or we have the solution or the right plan. I in my
All right, Oscar,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I was going to say that's. I think he hit the nail on the head. It's from just purely my beliefs is that everything we are seeing in our country are the cries of people on Main Street that are struggling, be they Democrats, be they Republicans. We see the Bible Belt. Again, I said this a couple episodes ago, feeling left behind. They have industries that have been shut down, or industries that no longer produce enough for them to live a middle class lifestyle, to improve themselves. In California, in coastal states, we have local governments that like to overtax us, that we feel no matter how hard we work, the government is going to take a good chunk of that money. And we feel like we constantly just are in the same place, you know? So I think there is place and there is time for call it an American revival, or an American renaissance. And it has to happen.
Hmm.
And it has to happen soon, because there are far too many factors in the exterior, in other countries, that want us to fail and are working to make us fail?
Well, that American Renaissance is an interesting word. Because the Republicans say make America great again. Now, that's their American Renaissance.
Are those Republicans? Well, I'll come back to that question later. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
but I see it differently. As long as you keep putting in the same two people, as Dwight said, two sides to the same coin. Until you go third, fourth, and fifth option, you don't know what you can do. Until you clearly understand the banking system and understand how banks create thin air. It is the central bank that controls how much money is printed. And that bank is controlled by private bankers. Until you identify them.
And the Fed.
That's what I'm saying. The Fed is the central bank. And the private bankers control that central bank. Until you take that bank out of their hands and put the bank in the hands of the American people, we'll keep talking about the same poverty, taxes, racism, discrimination, illegal immigration. It's just a big cycle to keep us all fighting among ourselves when the people who really control things are the people you don't see. And that's what keeps this country in the position that it's in. And it'll never live out its true creed because of the money handlers in the temple.
100%. This is the battle that's been going on since the creating of the founding of our nation with the West India Trading Company.
Yes.
Jefferson that knew that all these corporations had a certain agenda on the new republic, and the taxation that was happening with London and in England. I mean, there's even a quote, and to quote Jefferson, he says, if the American people ever allowed private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and the corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all their property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered.
Mm.
The corporations are getting their power from the bank.
You drive to any city in America that's hurting, and I'll guarantee you the bank ain't hurting.
That's correct. And that first bank,
a new one.
When you go back to the history of this, that first bank, and then they got their charter reestablished for 20 more years after it was a period when they didn't have it. And after that second charter ended, that particular president who they tried to kill, he may have been racist, but Andrew Jackson was right on this.
Andrew Jackson, yeah.
He did not allow that next bank until later on when the Fed came out again in 1913.
After his death.
As a central bank. Because they had got some stuff on Woodrow Wilson. So it all goes back to the bank. Whoever controls your money controls you.
So maybe I need to start a bank.
So wait a second. What year was that, my friend?
The Fed was 1913 when it got reestablished. The central bank was reestablished. Oh, I know that like the back of my hand. I think it was December 23rd they voted on it. President Woodrow Wilson, they had the goods on him, so he rode along with it. And then in 1916, on his second re-election, he said, hey, we're not going into any wars. I'll keep your son out of wars. But he lied. He lied. Well, because those bankers had...
What year was Titanic?
What?
That was 1911, 1912. He had some billionaires on that who wanted the Fed to not be recreated, and they died on that Titanic.
How convenient.
Yeah. So you thought I didn't know, but no, I do know.
All I'm saying is that, ever since then, we've been paying up people that we don't really know who they are. All I'm saying is that we got to go to work, and America is, we got to punch in every day. If we don't punch in, we don't eat. And eventually we got to get back to that concept.
Wait a minute. So hold on. You're talking through common sense. The last time I checked, Elon Musk wants to put everybody, well, at least put the rich people up in space. Well, there ain't gonna be no jobs up in space. Ain't gonna be no hands-on jobs.
I'm not trying to go to no Mars. I know no damn well no tacos are gonna be over there, baby.
Well, hold on. You laughing, but
I mean,
we're spending trillions of dollars to go get some dirt from another planet.
Mr. Common Sense, Zoe and Oscar. Now, let the news media tell us AI is going to take out all of these jobs anyway in the next 20 to 30 years. So how are you going to be working then? The government's going to have to give you some money.
Bro,
I want to hit on that.
AI can't make no time.
Have you read about the issues they're having with the health insurance companies now?
Yeah.
They're denying claims using AI.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So a computer is deciding your life through the insurance company.
Oh,
Yeah.
And as the president of Local 1000, when I'm
That's
reinstating,
freaking horrifying.
hold on a second. You're right. And as long as you keep putting these same Democrats, Republicans in office,
Damn.
this is what you'll get. You cannot keep putting these same two individuals of the same coin into office and expect a different result.
So
Agreed.
then-
You're not going to get one.
So
wait.
We've been doing that for 250 years.
So with that being
All the way
said,
at the beginning with George Washington, we've
Okay.
been played every time. The whole reason we had the American Revolution, it all had to do with rich people and their money. John Hancock, he was a freaking what do you call it? Illegal trading. Everything they were doing was all about their money. And then they played on the simple guys like us. They played on them, the patriotism part, to set them up. We've been set up by them the whole way through. Every time we have a war, it's all the benefit of somebody. It has anything to do about people. It has to do with
country.
rich people getting greased.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
That's my opinion.
He's coming from the right. But you have people on the far left who say the same exact thing. And the biggest fear that any of these private bankers have is when the far left and the far right say, we're going to put our differences aside and we're going to come together. And that's when you'll rock this country.
And with that's a perfect point to move into final thoughts. I appreciate that because I agree with that last sentiment 110%. 110%. So since this is Dwight's first time on the Family Bloodline podcast, as we move into final thoughts, we will allow him to grace us with his final thoughts first. But before we do that, what are you drinking? That's my question. What are you drinking on?
Straight scotch.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'll be out there next week, man. I'll give you a shout.
Here's iced tea, man.
I would send you a message.
Whiskey night was last night.
There you go. There you go. All right. So final thoughts, starting with you, Dwight.
I think we're in trouble. I think everything that's happening right now is Band-Aids. They're trying to put Band-Aids on it, and I don't think it's going to be enough. With $37 trillion in debt, and the Chinese have us. We can't afford to keep up with them. I don't know what we're going to do, and I fear for our future. I fear for my son's future in this country. I really do. I fear when stuff like this happens, when countries get to this point, it always leads to war. It always leads to war. Every time. World War II, markets crashed, everything. Every time it leads to a war.
Wow.
And then you know who loses and you know who wins every time.
Every single time. Absolutely.
Yeah, you end up with your name on a wall in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Just so you can have tennis shoes made for 25 cents in Vietnam.
That's the truth.
That's my thoughts.
I appreciate it. Zone, final thoughts. What you got, bro?
Overall, I think if there's one nation that holds the way to this humanity, because I think the United States holds this liberty, this grace, and this strength, and I really do believe in the American people. I do believe that every generation gets called upon, just like the last generation. They had their great call, and that's why this blueprint of America, this great experience, will work. Because no matter where we're at, the hope is that we will fear not, and no matter comes our way, if we're united, nothing. Because
Yeah, your audio.
I think we lost you.
Yeah, your audio messed up on us. So, all right, Oscar, we'll push forward to you. Sorry about that, Zoe. I don't know what happened to your audio, but we'll bring you back in a second.
I mean, all I have to say is I want to stay a little bit positive here. I know the
Yeah.
stakes are high. The bill that's come into effect has its positives and its benefits. I mean, its positives and its negatives. But it's really up to us voters. It's really up to everybody to really ask the tough questions, and push politicians and policies to reflect responsibility going forward in order for us to reduce our deficits, but also to keep in mind of human dignity, both on the American front and on our foreign folks that come here. So I think we just got to ask more of our politicians and band together, no matter the side of the aisle.
God, they're parasites, though.
Rich.
So first, this has been really a good show tonight, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, 2 African Americans, 2 Latinos, 1 white. We need 1 more white, and we need 2 Asians, and maybe we'll be on to something. That's my hope in the future.
I'm gonna bring my wife in on this. She's half Japanese and half Korean.
Bring her in.
Bring her. I'd love it.
We need to have equal white, black, and Latino, and then we have to get the Asian and Native American, and then we'll get some Europeans and Africans, and that's great. I like what I hear tonight. I agree with the white. We are in trouble. I also agree with Zoe. I believe that we as Americans can come together and show our greatness for the first time. All of us coming together united against the private bankers. I also agree with Oscar. The bill has some good things, it has some bad things. But we have to treat people with dignity while enforcing our laws. And finally, I guess I'll try to say something of my own, but I really can't tonight. Everybody's kind of beat me to the punch. You know, Mr. Glass, he said you can't legislate morality. I think you're right. You also said you can't work to catch a billionaire. You can't work enough to catch up to a billionaire. That's accurate as well. I guess I got beat tonight. Everyone's words I'm going to echo, and I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
You got to tell us who you are, because that's your catchphrase at this point.
Oh, when I'm transgender, I am Franz Fritzenheimer. I'm a white man when I'm transgender. But in my real self, I'm just a descendant of the enslaved African fighting to be reinstated as the president of Local 1000 because they ran me out illegally. But I'm going to keep fighting Gavin Newsom. And if he thinks that President Trump and the Republicans is giving them holy hell, hate to say this, but I'm
Gavin's trying to talk like a conservative. Have you heard that?
Yep. We'll talk about that on another podcast because,
I'm financially disciplined.
That
but
freaking car salesman.
As Oscar said, we have to still treat people with humanity, with dignity. He's right on that. And so is Zoe. We still have a great country. Can we do better? Yes. Do we have character flaws in our foundation? Yes. Can we still have a great country without tearing up our foundation and rebuilding our home? I'm done. I don't know.
Gotcha. So before I give my final thoughts, first off, I want to give a round of applause to Dwight. Thank you for coming on and this being your first live. Yeah. I appreciate you for coming on. I've been hoping you would hang out with us for a while now. I love talking to you and posting comments. It's always a blast. And for everybody else, like I want to echo this. Like Rich said, this was like one of my favorite episodes tonight, because we had so much. There's such a different movement from everybody, and I always appreciate different opinions, especially those that differ from my own. I'm never going to get caught in an echo chamber. I don't need that. I think that pressure, especially dealing with things that I don't agree with directly, that's how I evolve, and it makes me think differently, and I learn something more. And I try to surround myself with that. I don't always want to be an island, but in some instances, I need to be an island so that I can learn more. right? Because I don't want to ever get to a point to where I think, oh, yeah, I know this. Nope, you're wrong and I'm right. No, I'll never be that, because I think it's okay to be wrong, and I lean into it and I press that limit, right? I'm never always right, and I know that for sure. So I want to thank everybody for coming up. My final thoughts is, and I'll echo everything that y'all have said already, especially what Richard said. I want to get more people of diverse backgrounds on the podcast so that we can air out our grievances. We can disagree, but we can also begin to find the points that we agree on and build a foundation from that and move forward. That's progress. That's evolution. That's the spirit of America in all of its fineness, and it's all of its beauty and all of its splendor. Founding a common ground and foundation is the pinnacle of being able to get shit done outside of being angry, right? That's how we get shit done. And that's what I believe in. And that's why I'll continue to do these shows. I would love for donations to the Family Bloodline podcast to assist with helping us push the message further. But if I've got to continue to reach into my pocket to fund it, I will, because this is an effort that I absolutely believe in. And I want to push it to every corner of America first, and then we'll push it to the world. But we've got to get right within ourselves first. And we've got to have open and honest discussions. We've got to disagree on things so that we can figure out what we agree on, and we can become a better country. One man, one woman, one child at a time. And so again, gentlemen, I absolutely appreciate you all for coming up. And as always, for the audience, for those of you all who hung out with us for the 2 hours and 6 minutes that we've been on, I absolutely appreciate you. And as always, thank y'all for coming out. God bless and good night.